Welcome to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska on Big Cabbage Radio.
Hey, it's Tandy with Ag Matters Radio, and today we're going to be talking with Tom Zimmer from Calypso Farm in Fairbanks. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. I have to ask, because we're in the valley, obviously, and this has been a really mild winter for us. How's your winter up there?
We're at 18 degrees today. We were above freezing the other day and dripping, so it's a little icy, but luckily the snow cover is still covering our garlic and keeping the ground protected from colder temperatures.
That's been our concern as well. We have snow here where we're at, but most of the valley, when we drive around, like when we drive into Wasilla and stuff, there's no snow, and there's definitely a concern with that. So that's good that you guys still have your snowpack. Now, Tom, I want to hear all about your farm. It looks like you guys have a lot going on there between the education side and the farming, and it looks like you just have a lot going on. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, well, this is year 25 of the farm. I started it back in 2000, but I want to make sure it's really clear that this is community-driven. We work with our community. People give us suggestions. We try to work with the needs of the community. So 20 years of dabbling back and forth. We have about 30 acres of land that we've carved about 6 acres out. So we have agricultural fields, we have greenhouse sites, we have a house site, an office, but we also have some wooded pasture for our sheep. So it's a work in progress, but we're also on a hillside, which a lot of people wonder why the hell we're on a hillside, but it's all about microclimates. And so we can talk more about that if you want.
So I'd love to jump into that. So is your hill south-facing, I assume? Tell us about that, about your hillside and how you're using it.
Yeah, so Fairbanks is about 400 feet above sea level, and our farm is at 1,200. So we're up out of the valley. We've got a beautiful south-facing slope. Of our 30 acres, 10 is on a north-facing slope, black spruce permafrost. The 20 acres on the south is kind of what we're working with. As a farm and ecology center, it's all about learning about the land and land stewardship. So we have that north side where we can go explore what Mother Nature grows and how she works over there. And then we are using that southern exposure to grow vegetables.
So it kind of is like you have the best of both worlds. That's basically what you're saying.
Well, every farm has limiting factors. Our limiting factors are flat land and water. The hill gives us the advantage of drainage in the spring, so we can get into our fields a little bit earlier because the soils have dried out and are workable. We also have this microclimate where we're getting that beautiful sun in April and May. It's just really beaming in nicely. But we have to terrace everything. So we have had to make flat land. And then when we need to irrigate, if we were to punch a well in, a well would be over 500 feet deep and arsenic-rich cold water. So we have made ponds and have developed an irrigation system that minimizes the use of water, drip irrigation rather than sprinkler irrigation. We're warming the water, and the main thing is building a good soil so that the roots can find what they need. So, that's kind of the quick overview.
Well, that makes perfect sense, and it sounds like you've done a really good job of utilizing every space you have, and that's really important in farming everywhere, especially in Alaska.
Well, our driveway is also our water collection ditch, so everything is multi-purpose. We plow snow uphill versus downhill so that we can catch it in the ditch and run it to ponds. We have a couple different ponds. We have tanks at the top of the field, so we pump water to the tanks where we can settle it out, warm it up, and then drip with it. But again, building the soil has been the most important aspect because our silt soil dries out very quickly, doesn't hold nutrients really well, it's a good rooting medium, but we really had to up the organic matter to increase our soil fertility, our water holding, and nutrient holding capacity.
Well, that makes sense. And it's what's incredible. What I love hearing about these Alaska stories is someone might have looked at your farm and said, we can't farm on that. And you or whoever started this had the vision to say, wow, what can we do with this and how can we make it work? And it sounds like it's turned into an incredibly viable piece of property.
Well, we are stewards of the land here, and what we do on our piece may not work for someone down in the valley, Tanner Valley here. So every farm, when you go visit other farms, you always are looking at ideas going, ooh, could that work on our piece? Yes, no. And there's no one right way of doing things. You make sure you do it something that appeals to you, that you physically can do, and what works for your system. And I think that's an important point is don't just go out and mimic another farm. Go try your hand and learn, and then, explore what's going on your piece of land.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And we can learn so much from those who have gone before us and who are doing something similar. And you're right, every single farm has a very different footprint and different things that work for sure. So tell us a little bit about what you do grow on your farm. Do you have mostly animals? Do you grow mostly vegetables or fruit, or a little bit of both?
We do a little of everything. So our mantra is diversity. We don't want to grow just one thing. That's not good for your soil. That's not good for your marketing. And it's also not as fun. So we have about 2 and a bit acres of vegetable production where we're growing our broccoli, cauliflower, leeks, onions, cabbage, peas, but we incorporate a lot of flowers into that. So the flowers are both there for insects, but also for cut flowers. So again, for the marketing, we are selling vegetables at a farmer's market. We're selling vegetables at a CSA. And then we're also doing flower shares, weddings. Then we also incorporate some fruit trees around the farm. So apples, we have a few haskap's or honeyberries. Then we do have sheep and goats, and they are part of our nutrient cycling method here. So we've got these fields of vegetables, but then the sheep will roam through some wooded pasture, and we collect that manure, compost it, and build our soil. So they are kind of nutrient gatherers for us. And then in the fall, we can run them through the fields, and they can chow down all the plant residue and help break down and get ready for the next year.
Again, another really good way of looking at things. How can every single thing on your farm work together to produce a better product? I love how you put that together. I was also reading how you like to educate, and I think that's really fun. We own Common Ground Alaska, and our tagline is we're a teaching farm that feeds Alaskans. So the teaching side is near and dear to my heart. So talk a little bit about the education piece.
Sure. That was one of the reasons when we started back in August of '99, when we bought the land, we incorporated as a nonprofit so that we could really focus on educational aspects. So like you, we are growing food for our community, but we are also trying to empower our community to grow their own food. Back in early 2002, we had our first field trips out here, and we had stump fields. We didn't even have any vegetables growing, but we had school groups coming out, learning about the environment, learning about growing, and that has just over the years morphed and become bigger field trips. We've got summer farm camps. We do farm school in the fall where we have people come out numerous times to learn about the food, learn how to cook the food. So we have an outdoor kitchen. We also do community workshops on gardening. And so we try to hit all aspects of that education. And over the years, as the farm has changed, the educational programs have changed. So we have incorporated the sheep. We have a fantastic spring festival up here. It's the Sheep and Wool Day. It's a free event. The community comes up. I shear sheep, and then we have community members from the Spinners and Weavers Guild come up and show how to process the wool, spinning, felting, all kinds of fun things. We also have a blacksmith shop up here, so I am teaching blacksmithing so people can come up and try their hand at making hooks. And the idea there is to be able to repair and modify our own tools. So those are just a smattering of the educational aspects. We also are trying to grow more farmers, not just grow food. So we have an indigenous ag program that we've been working with some native entities to start up and promote agriculture in villages, but from a native perspective, not just us telling them how to do it. They come and run training on our farm here. So we're very community-based and try to get everyone involved.
You know, that sounds pretty incredible. We also, Gene, my husband, also is a blacksmith, and so it's kind of neat how that cycle works into the farm because, you know, you repair in the wintertime when the farm is dormant and sleeping, we say, then that's when he can take the time to repair the tools and do the things and build tools if we need new tools. And so that whole circle of life and the fact that you're you know, just the circle of the seasons and the fact that you're teaching that to your community is pretty cool. I can deeply resonate with that. So tell us a little bit about how your CSA works. Is that available? When is the availability? How do people sign up? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I believe it's going live right about now. So the CSA shareholders from last year get first dibs to jump back in, and then it goes out to the rest of the community there. We have done many different versions of the CSA. So we do flowers, we've done salad chairs in the past, we've done storage chairs. So each year it's a little different as we get feedback from the community. But one thing that we're very focused on is social justice and food equality. We want to make food available to people in general. So we do a low-income food share where people can donate to help sponsor someone else's CSA share. And our Southside Market, we have food coupons, we do community meals, we distribute the CSA there, but then we also take food stamps and just really make good quality food available to everyone. The thing with the CSA, it's about 100 shares, so it does fill up fast, but that's why we do the farmers market to also get food out to people.
That's just that diversity is pretty neat. So what's in a typical CSA box? You said are the flower CSA separate from the vegetables, or are they commingled? How does that work?
Yeah, flowers are separate. So as you know, the box changes over the season. In the spring, it's some greens and radishes and the first things up and ready. And then over the summer, that turns more into broccolis and cauliflowers. And because of our diverse growing, we have a diverse box. So it depends. If it's a hot summer, we might get some green beans in there. If it's a cold summer, we'll have more cauliflower, more Brussels sprouts, and things like that. So it's a good share of vegetables, and we do a small share and a large share. So family of 2 or a family of 4, they can get the right size vegetables.
That's perfect, because some people are more vegetable eaters than others for sure, and some people grow part of their food but not quite enough, and so I love that you have 2 sizes. So what is I realize that we don't do monocrops, I totally get that, but if you had to grow one crop and that's the only homegrown food you could have all summer, what would be your favorite?
Well, all summer, or are we thinking storage all year?
Just for the summer. I'm just thinking fresh stuff because I'm hungry for fresh food.
Well, I have a little grow box in my back room right now, and I'm growing Asian greens, Mizuna, Mabuna, and arugula. So I would probably say those are what I'm jonesing for right now, is just some nice greens. And so we nibble that every evening with our dinner. But, yeah, some good fresh greens. But then you can't beat a tomato, and then the onions and the leeks. That's a really hard question to answer.
I know it is. It is. And my answer, like yours, would probably change by the seasons. Right now, anything fresh tastes good. But man, when in the summer, I would almost have to say like snap peas. There's something about a fresh snap pea right off the vine that's just pretty dang good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Something that we're aiming towards now is we have a third field that we are growing seeds in because, as you know, some of the crops that we grow, we get seed from the lower 48, and they don't particularly like our 22 hours of sunlight up here, like spinach, bolt, cilantro, bolt. So we're planting and harvesting and planting and harvesting. So what we're trying to do is grow some, we have a whole field where we're growing for seed to try to adapt these plants to our cold soils, long days, cooler temperatures. And so that's our newest endeavor. And we're got some great kales. We're working on some spinach that's on year, I think, 4 that we're hoping in 5 or 6 years to have a less bolting spinach.
Well, that's cool. That's great. That's pretty wonderful. So it sounds like you've got some pretty neat things coming up. What changes are you making on the farm besides this lettuce? Like what if someone is used to your farm, what might they say this year that they're like, oh, that's different? You said you were maybe changing up your CSA a little?
Well, it's always changing, working with the environment and the season and also our bodies. We're not expanding. People are always like, are you going to get bigger, No, the way for us to get bigger is to grow more farmers. I want to see more small-scale farms, not farms just getting bigger and bigger. So we've got our little area cut out, and we want to just promote and focus our energy on helping other people get growing. The market is ripe for more growers. The need is absolutely there. And it's empowering people on their food. So I think that's where any changes you see would be in our more education, more sharing, and more encouragement of other farmers.
I love that. It sounds like that was much needed. It's much needed in Alaska. Farming, I know that farming is hard everywhere, and we have been here for 20 years. So I can't really speak based on memory from the lower 48, but up here, farming is not an easy endeavor. The weather throws a lot at us, and even on mild winters like we're having here in the valley, folks are like, oh, I bet everything's loving this. And the two things we have to worry about are we don't have a lot of snowpack. We've only got about 6 inches left. And that snow is insulation. If we have a really cold February, we may have some serious problems. So, it seems like there's always something, but by taking the ebbs and flows from the weather and being an encouragement to other farmers and building community with other farmers, that helps us all to stay encouraged, right? Because like it or not, there's bumps in the road, and we don't always like them. So I think that's neat that you're encouraging the farmers too.
And as far as the climate in Alaska, we have a fabulous growing season. I'm lucky enough to go around and visit other farms. I was just in Senegal, West Africa, in November working with a women's cooperative there, and it's hot. It's dry. The insects come from underground, above ground. It's very tricky to grow there. They're successful, and we had some great foods, but every farm has its limitations. And so Alaska, a short season, we can grow a lot with 22 hours of sunlight, and we really do have very limited pest issues up here. That is changing as the weather patterns change, so we have to stay vigilant. But we are pretty lucky to have such a wonderful growing environment when it's on.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Although last year the slugs did really enjoy all that rain. But you're right. We don't have a lot of the pests. We're orchard based, so we hear about a lot of things that other people contend with that we sure don't have to up here, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, the slugs is something we're watching because we don't really have slugs. We see a few very small ones, but nothing like down in Palmer. So we are watching and being cautious about introducing any of those little blighters.
I can hear what you're saying. You're telling us we can keep them, right?
That's right.
Fair Fair enough. Okay. All right. Well, Tom, how can people find out more about you? Are you on Facebook? Or should we email you? What's the best way for folks to learn more?
Yeah, our website is really the best portal. It's calypsofarm.org. And through there, you can find our emails. You can find out about our upcoming classes. I just put a bunch of blacksmithing classes up yesterday. And I actually have some people coming up from Anchorage in March who are going to be doing blacksmithing. So people can come up and take classes with us, even if they're not from the Tannar Valley here. So, yeah, the website, calypsofarm.org, is the best. But we are always open to suggestions and visits.
Well, thank you, Tom Zimmer from Calypso Farms in Fairbanks, for sharing your story for Ag Matters.
You've been listening to Ag Matters, covering positive agriculture stories from across Alaska. Ag Matters is a production of Radio Free Palmer, recorded at our studios in Palmer, Alaska. For more information about this program, email manager@radiofreepalmer.org.